Yes. Yeah. Well, and based on that, you introduced the notion of, for some reason, they got rid of the judicial process altogether. On the spot, since you were like, it created benefit, what is it, reasonable doubt about the one guy, they were like, we should let the other 18 go. And you're like, damn Skippy. Tasty cake. You know, it's a little film about your adventures. I'm with you, dude. If you can offer a fucking dessert for sex, and that's against the law, then they're gonna have to arrest me because I'm constantly giving my wife shit for sex. You know, where I'm just like, what do you want? A new ring? Here. Now let me put it near your hiney.
Put it near?
Yeah, whatever. I'm not pushy.
You just poking the bum?
I don't even need to poke it. I just want to look at it. I just need the visual. I'll do it. I got a fucking fleshlight. What do I need her for? But I do need to look at something and shit.
You need to look at something.
Totally. Our anniversary, she was the best, man. She was. We were in Washington and shit. We were supposed to go out and look at shit. But we got a nice, like, hotel room.
You're like, I want to stay in and look at shit.
No shit. That's what I said. I was like, why are we looking at the fucking Washington Monument, man? Where here's a fucking tower right in front of me. And she was just like, that is not a monument. That's what you buy in the gift shop of the monument. I was like, whatever, it fucks and comes. So we were there, and I was like, let's not do much. We did wind up going out. It was a nice dude who went to, I did a show there, and afterwards, as I was leaving, some dude was like, hey man, would you want to go on the White House tour? And I was like, yes. And normally people are like, hey man, you want to do shit? I get that all the time. Hey man, you want to get high? Hey man, you want to drink? Hey man, you want to fuck my wife while you watch? And I'm like, what? Fuck your wife while I watch? He's like, yeah, you got to keep your eyes open the whole time. I was like, I will. I forget where I was going with that. What was
you were in Washington and you were going to go out, and then you stayed in because you were going to look at something.
Dude offers me a tour. And he's just like, I'll get you on the White House tour. And for the first time ever, I'm like, I would totally do that. Took his address and shit, his email address. And then I'm looking at the address, and it was a .gov address, but I was like, I'm not fucking Swift. I'm not Encyclopedia Brown. So I would just believe it. I'm like, it says .gov. I'm the guy that, like, whenever fucking AOL, in quotes, writes me a letter like, you owe us more money. I'm like, here you go.
Or some guy from Uganda is just like, we have a fantastic offer.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for all those ships to come in, man. I've got a lot of billionaires who know my name for some reason. Based on that shit, where is that going? Oh, so anyway, so this dude's like, hey man, like, write me. And so I'm like, should I write him? Because I'm looking at the address. I'm like, oh no, man. Like, this could be a Goodfellas kind of thing, you know, where he's like, oh yeah, here's the White House. It's right over there. Just go down that alley. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go, Jimmy. You know, and I take off and shit because I see some fierce-looking characters in the dark and shit. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, man. I gotta trust him and shit. I wrote an email and he wrote me back. And then he put me in touch with another chick. And I was like, oh shit, I'm getting scammed by 2 fucking people. And the scam really started getting scary because they were like, we need your social security number. And I was like, oh man. And I was like, look, I can't put that out on email. Like, maybe I'll give it to you in person. And so I called the dude. He gave me his number to call. And when he answered, he didn't call. It wasn't like, the United States government, you can trust us. Hello.
I don't think there's any place you can call.
At least not truthfully. Yeah, really. But so he just said hello. And I was like, hey, man, it's Kevin. And he was like,
and that's really distrustful when someone answers the phone and goes, hello?
Yeah, I was like, who is this? Stop trying to fuck my wife! And I hung up on her. She's like, who is that? I was like, I don't know, an enemy of sorts. But I said, he goes, yeah, he's going to give me your social security number, he just has to vet you, because if you go into the White House, they got to make sure you're not a criminal or some such shit. So I was like, dude, please don't. If this is a scam, just tell me now. I'll give you $10,000 or something. Just don't. I'm telling my wife we're going to the White House. Don't fuck me, dude. Like, you know, take my money, fine, but don't fucking, like, it's hard enough to get this chick to fuck me, you know, and respect me enough to fuck me. And now she was hyped by the idea of like, oh, you can get a White House tour? You know, nothing else impresses her anymore. But anything government-wise, like when Schwarzenegger called me about the fucking Too Fat to Fly thing, she was like, Schwarzenegger called you? And I was like, what do you give a shit? You know, like any Schwarzenegger
called me, all right.
Yeah, I was like, Conan, he didn't call you? But she was like, oh, he's the governor. Like everything about politics, she was poli-sci major, is impressive to her. So I couldn't fucking go back because I said like, hey, we're going to the White House. And then suddenly be like, oh, we're not going to the White House.
Especially on your anniversary.
Yeah, because I was scammed by 2 hustlers, you know. So I was just like, look, dude, if it's a scam, just tell me, I'll give you the money up front, but please get me into the White House.
So you actually said this?
No, I didn't go that far, but I was prepared because I was like, dude, is this a scam? Just tell me up front. This is a scam. I just need to know, man, because she's going to be mad. I didn't go as far as like, I'll make a deal with you. if you get me into the White House, I'll get you into Kev's ass house. He's like, what's that? I'm like, this is my funny name.
He's just like,
for a
look,
rectum.
I'm just trying to get you a tour of the White House.
I know. I really didn't trust him, man.
I don't fuck you.
And his name was it was a very interesting name. I can't say it because he doesn't want to know him. But it was very like enough where I could Google it and a zillion wouldn't come up. So I was like, if this dude's a real deal.
Yeah.
So I Googled him, and he was very active in like a get Obama elected campaign in college.
Gotcha.
Way fucking active. But then I was just like, man, maybe this scam artist looked up this guy and used his cover knowing that I'm going to fucking do, you know? So I'm really outthinking myself. I'm my own worst enemy, and at this point, I'm just, it all ends with me fucking chained and raped or something. But I finally took the leap. I was like, please don't scam me. He's like, no, I'm not going to. Just give me. He's going, you're going to be fine. And then we went on a tour and shit. So we did that. We went to the White House, and it was like walking around the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, you know? That's what it was like. Like, they take you to 7 rooms, they're all big, and all the paintings look like they're about to stretch and shit. You know? Is this room actually stretching? And it could have been, because I was really stoned.
Did you get, how did you get stoned, like, right before you went?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't get, like, fucking high anymore. I just get kind of centered, if you will.
Centered.
So I got centered right before I went to the White House. And it was the best way to kind of view the whole thing, looking through, like, wow. Because suddenly you're not just like, this is where the Obamas live or something like that. You're like, wow, this is where history happened.
Or you're like, wow, this is like Disneyland. Crappy ride at Disneyland.
Totally. Well, history is really boring to me, Scott. So I had to spice it up by getting high and thinking we were at Disneyland. And the whole time I was like, can I get a fucking churro, please? But it was just spooky and dusty and kind of old and shit like that. And you just sit there going, what a weird, like when you're a kid, there's so much magic to it, like the White House and shit like that. Then the older you get and the more you pay taxes, I'm like, I own this fucking house, man. Why aren't I sleeping here tonight? You know, why am I sleeping in a hotel? You know how much money I put in? No, I didn't do that. Because they'll throw you out and they'll shoot you. There were dudes with like machine guns.
They'll shoot you?
I mean, if you get hippie in the White House, if you're just like, give me a bench, they're like, they get away with it. They're just like, well, Patriot Act, bitch, and they put a fucking bullet between your eyes. You don't want to fuck around the White House. I don't think. But for me, there was no magic there. It was just kind of like, yeah, it's the White House and shit, and government. All the luster from youth was gone. I'm not like coming down on anybody's administration or by being like, the White House really disappointed me. It's not that kind of thing. It was just like the house itself was kind of like, drop it. Let's make something else.
Build
I felt like, because the other one is so, it's just such, it's that, like, you think about it, you're walking through the halls of the place, and I was just like, what, 200 fucking years ago? How long ago was it? Like, people who lived in this house owned fucking slaves. It was just a weird feeling. I was like, I'm in some old fucking slave owner's house and shit like that, you know? The front porch and shit was where Uncle Tom would sit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels weird. It's just
that's you being centered? You're just like...
I went from
I'm fucking outraged, but I won't speak out because I hear you get shot.
I'm getting all sorts of political. They're like, you might want to be careful about talking about Uncle Tom and shit around the White House, you jerk. And I'm like, no, I'm stoned. It's cool. They put me in plastic cuffs. It was just weird. It was just like this. It's a relic from a time that just doesn't seem to exist. Yeah. I know there's like something poetic about like the president's black now. Isn't that great? But I don't know, man. I looked at the house and I was just like, level it and start something new, like the white condo. And don't even call it white, just be like the house.
The house.
It feels weird, like White House feels old America.
It should be called the people's house.
Yeah, my house is what it should be called.
It should be my house.
Because we all pay taxes for it. And that would be like a public relations thing, but it would feel a little better, like they were trying. You know, like, look, we realize that White House is really kind of separates and divides America. So we're going to call it my house. And they're like, well, what do you mean my house? They're like, meaning you call
your
it
house.
My house.
It's your house.
Yeah, it's your house. Like, well, is it my house or your house? And you're like, well, fuck it, it's the White House. But I don't think it's ever going to get better than that. So, so thank you, Cleveland, for coming out tonight. That's Smodcast for this week. I'm Kevin Smith.
Scott Moser.
Have a week.